In this video, we will look at how earnings, budget, saturation points, recycle bins work and answer the big questions related to them. Coming right up. So let's start from the beginning. PlanetWatch is running on the Algorand blockchain. We have the utility token of the project called Planets. This is on ASA, an Algorand standard asset. We will see in other videos why this information is useful. There will be a total of 4.5 billion tokens distributed yearly for the next 60 years under a known schedule. This is the first key element of this project. Right now, the yearly budget is around 534 million planets, and every 4 years we will have a halving. That means that instead of the current 534 million planets per year, we will have only 275 million tokens as yearly budget starting with 2025, and the rest of the distribution we see in the white paper. Of course, all the links you see in this video will be in the description below. The next important element is the daily budget. This is just the yearly budget distributed daily, and in this information we also have the answer to the first question. Will we get a refresh in April in terms of planets? No, we will not get a top-up of planets in April. Things will remain the same in terms of planets until the first halving. We know that we have 4 different types of sensors and they each operate with independent budgets from each other but under the same rules. So the daily budget is distributed under a 40-20-20-20% between the sensor types. Awesome! Knowing what the budget represents, let's get to the next term, the sensor reward. Each sensor sends data streams to PlanetWatch. Some do directly, like Arduino, some do through the manufacturer servers like KTRS and Sage Mini or Aware Element. The point is that each sensor is expected to send a number of streams each day, according to the specification of each type. A Type 1 sensor is expected to send 96 valid streams of data per day. A Type 4 is expected to send 720. And for each valid data stream, we have a reward. So no, it does not matter for the reward if the air is clean or polluted. PlanetWatch is rewarding us for measuring the reality with our sensors and sending the data to them. If we put all the daily streams together, we end up with a maximum daily reward for each type of sensor, and out of that we get 80% and PlanetWatch the rest of 20%. This is why we see a different number in the sensor details under the reward gained than what we see in the wallet. We get 80% of that total reward. If you want to find more about how to optimize the rewards, links to my videos will be in the top right corner and in the description below. They are for AtmoTube Pro, Arduino and KTRS and Sage Mini. But here is the important part. This is the maximum reward that the sensors can obtain, not a given, and it will change according to some parameters. We will see later in this video what influences the reward that we get daily. Going forward, I think the best way to explain how the actual rewards, saturation points and recycle bins are working is through an analogy. Let's say that we have a daily budget of $100 and we are willing to pay up to $1 for a worker. That allows us to employ up to 100 workers with $1 cost per worker. We can't pay 150 or 200 or 500 workers with $1 because we only have a $100 budget to pay each day. The number of workers where we reach the limit of the budget, in our example 100 workers, is what is called the saturation point in PlanetWatch. So going back to the actual numbers, we see that these numbers for each type of sensors in the white paper. And going to PlanetWatch Explorer, we see that currently we have surpassed these milestones for Type 3 and Type 4. With this context, let's see what is the recycle bin. Going back to our story with workers, let's say that we want to have as many workers hired and in the early days only a few decide to work for us, but the daily budget is still $100, so we save all the unpaid dollars in a deposit and we do so for each day that we don't get to spend all the budget on the active workers. When more workers than 100 want to work for us, we can use the deposit money alongside the daily budget in order to pay everyone the maximum $1. So if today we have 200 workers active, we get the daily $100 and we take from the deposit the remaining $100 needed in order to pay everyone $1. This happens as long as there is money in that deposit. So going back to PlanetWatch, this deposit is what we call a recycle bin, and we know exactly how many planets there are in each one. Heading to PlanetWatch Explorer, we see that right now we have these numbers of planets in each of them. And because the number of sensors is below the saturation points for Type 1 and Type 2, we have new planets added today to these deposits. And for the ones that with the saturation points are passed, we see how much has been used today, when they will get emptied. This will depend on how many sensors will be onboarded and how fast. And nobody can predict, we can only make some projections. I already did that for Type 1 and Type 3. Links to those videos will be in the description below. This will lead us to another frequently asked question. Will the rewards drop to zero when the recycled bins will be depleted? The short answer is no. So let's see what will happen then. Going back to our story. Let's say that 200 workers want to work for us, but we have only $100 to pay them and no more money in the deposit, so we can equally split that budget to all the workers and they will all get $0.5. The more workers want to work for us, the payment for each will be less, proportional to the number of workers. So the rewards will drop significantly, but not even close to zero. Just divide the daily budget for that type to the number of active sensors and this will get our max reward in that context. Do 80% and you will get the maximum reward that a sensor of that type might earn. Let's do it for Type 4 with the current numbers of sensors. 292,671 daily budget divided by 42,371, the current number of Type 4 sensors at the moment of the recording. And then we get 80% of the result, and this will be the max daily reward for Type 4 if we stay at the same number of sensors when the recycle bins will get emptied. But if we talk about recycle bins, we also need to talk about it not being a one-time deal. When PlanetWatch will start selling data, 40% of the income will go to the owners of the sensors that collected the data. 40% will go to the recycle bins, so everyone will benefit from that data sale, and 20% will go to the PlanetWatch company. As you can see, the project is quite complex and the earnings depend on various factors. To me, it is clear that this is made as a long-term project, and I will talk in the next video about my strategy of making the most with PlanetWatch. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned. Until next time, see ya!